Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me here on this Thursday, which is our Mighty Men Thursday, and it is open mic. So if there are any of our mighty men out there that would like to join me here on the show to discuss any topics that you see relevant or to even talk about anything that we've covered on the show, hey, join me here and just let me know. You can send me an email at unfilteredvisionnews@gmail.com, or you can direct message me through X, or just let me know in the comments. And I will send you the mic so you can join me here on the show live. So with that, we're going to go and start with our Kids Corner. And today we're going to be talking about grace and peace.
Betrayal, lies, and humiliation, yet never reacted with rage. How? Because peace wasn't something he tried to keep. It was something he carried, and you can too. Here's how to walk in that same unshakable peace that nothing and no one can disturb. Number 1, your peace is a form of protection. The enemy doesn't always attack your money or your health. Sometimes he just wants your reaction. Because when you lose peace, you lose focus. That's why peace isn't just a feeling, it's armor. Philippians 4:7 says, "The peace of God will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." Peace guards you, but only if you stay behind its walls. When someone tries to provoke you, they're testing your spiritual defense system. Every time you stay calm instead of clapping back, you're saying, "My peace is worth more than this argument." So next time anger rises, remind yourself, this isn't about them. It's about protecting what God gave you. Number 2, offense is a trap, not a test. Every time someone offends you, it's not random. It's strategic. The enemy knows he can't steal your peace directly, so he baits you into giving it away. That's why Jesus said in Luke 17:1, "It is impossible that no offenses should come." He didn't say you could avoid being offended. He said you could avoid living offended. Offense is a trap that keeps you replaying the moment, rehearsing the pain, and reliving what hurt you. And the more you think about it, the deeper you sink. Forgiveness isn't about ignoring the hurt. It's about refusing to let the hurt own you. You let go not because they were right, but because you want your freedom back. Because as long as you stay offended, you stay bound to the person who hurt you. And peace can't live where offense still breathes. Number 3, stillness is strength. The world tells you to speak up, clap back, and prove your point. But the Spirit says, be still. Exodus 14:14 declares, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Because stillness doesn't mean silence. It means surrender. When you choose peace over reaction, you're telling heaven, "God, I trust you to handle what I can't." Some battles are meant to be won through restraint, not reaction. That's how Jesus responded to false accusations, not with anger, but with peace. He knew his silence said more than any argument ever could. Stillness doesn't prove you're powerless. It proves you're protected. And when you stop fighting for control, you start watching God fight for you. Number 4, peace grows where pride dies. Most anger doesn't come from pain. It comes from pride. Because pride whispers, "They shouldn't have talked to me like that. They owe me respect." And before you know it, your ego is running your emotions. But James 4:6 reminds us, God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself. It's thinking more like Christ. When pride dies, peace lives. You stop needing to win every argument. You stop needing to be understood by everyone. Peace comes when you care more about your spirit than your image. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Just smile, let it go, and walk away knowing God saw it all. Number 5, you can't stay angry when your eyes stay on God. Peter walked on water until he looked at the storm. That's exactly what happens when you shift your focus from God to people. Your peace begins to sink. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you." Peace fades when attention drifts, because the moment you stare at what hurt you, you forget who heals you. You can't control how people act, but you can control where you look. So when anger rises, don't react, redirect. Look back at God. He's the anchor that keeps your heart steady when emotions want to take over. When your focus stays on Him, your peace becomes untouchable and your spirit unbothered. Number 6, your calm is your witness. Sometimes the greatest sermon you'll ever preach won't be with words, it'll be with peace, because the world expects you to clap back, break down, or lose control. But when you stay calm in chaos, people notice. Your peace speaks louder than your defense ever could. Matthew 5:9 says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." That means peace isn't just something you feel. It's something that reveals who you belong to. Every time you respond with grace, you remind the world that your spirit isn't ruled by emotion. It's ruled by God. And that quiet strength, that's what sets you apart. The truth is, peace isn't something you wait for. It's something you protect. You don't find it in a quiet room or a perfect day. You build it in the middle of chaos, when you choose stillness over reaction and surrender over control. So the next time someone tries to steal your calm, ask yourself, is this worth my peace, or am I handing over what God gave me? Because the more you guard your spirit, the more like Christ you become. Type peace in the comments if you're choosing to walk unbothered from this day forward. And don't forget to subscribe for more faith-filled messages.
Yeah, so I wanted to start our day off with just reminding us, you know, to have our peace and hold on to it. And just watching that video, it just reminds me that, peace isn't a mood swing, it's a lifestyle, right? Because when it's a lifestyle, it can't be moved. It is your foundation, it is who you are, it is what you do, right? With every breath, as opposed to it being a mood swing, right? It's like, oh, I got to be peaceful now. Because when you're swayed, then anyone can disrupt your peace. So let's focus on definitely making peace a lifestyle. I definitely like how they used the terminology clap back, right? Because a lot of times people feel the need to respond. And sometimes it's okay not to respond. Sometimes it's okay to just let it go and be peaceful and let others interact. I see that a lot on X. Sometimes I'll interject or sometimes I'll do posts and other times I will just step back and let the conversation go where it needs to go. I mean, I've definitely had times where people have you know, sent me I'll call them tweets or post to respond to them, and they might be upset or angry about something, and sometimes I do. Right? But not out of anger or frustration, But sometimes I'm responding out of, "Hey, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is where I am with it." And if that person continues to press in a negative way, sometimes I'll just walk away from the conversation and let it go. Because again, it's not worth my peace. If you guys ever see posts from me on X, there are times when I'm pointing out, you know, when people are lying. And I will tell them, you are lying about this. You are not telling the truth. You need to be honest about what's going on. Or, responding to a post and bringing receipts with it to show people, like, no, this is actually what's happening, not what they're saying. And that's something we need to just do for each other to keep the peace, right? Because right now, ooh, things are a little bit off the rails, in my opinion, since the government has chosen to reopen and renegotiate and get the CR going. But right now, things are back in the house. So I don't know if the government's actually open yet. That's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, I don't know if it's actually open. I think that the House is making changes. And if that's the case, they got to make the changes. They got to vote on it, and then they still have to send it back to the Senate to pass. And we're still just at the CR. We're still at a CR. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. But I think they did agree to fund um like SNAP and those different things. Like I think that was a separate part that they decided to do. I have to double check that. But I'm like, oh, there's just so much going on. But I wanted to get into, honoring God with our body and just reminding us, and even in this, this is to me, just going over these different parts of the body to pray, it is a form of peace, right? And it's the part of peace for our bodies, for our minds, right? And so, how to honor God with our body. God, please guard my mind and thoughts. God, help me fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please help me listen with my ears. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life through my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, help my hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect my reproductive organs and honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect my feet as I walk in your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. So I hope that, you guys got inspiration from that this morning. Now, let's get into it. So, again, today is Mighty Men Thursday and it is open mic. So, to any of our men that are out there, if you would like to join us this morning, please let me know and I will send you a mic so you can join us here on the program. Now, there's a few things I want to get into. This is a very, I shortened the clip, but this is from the Laura Ingraham show, and she was interviewing Donald Trump, and she had a question um, for him about the latest shutdown. Okay. And then the air traffic controllers getting to work. But I just want you to hear her question and his response to that question.
I did. Where you blasted the air traffic controllers who had not shown up for work and offered potentially a bonus of $10,000 for those who have worked despite the shutdown.
I'm sending them a $10,000 bonus.
Where's that money coming from?
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace.
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace. Now, I got this clip from the Daily Show. So thank you, Daily Show. But it was like, his job isn't the money part, right? He can kind of say whatever he wants to. Then it's really up to Congress if they're going to follow through with that or not. Okay. And so when he says, "Well, I'll get the money from somewhere." Yeah, because yes, federal workers will get their back pay based on a 2019 federal law that was put in place because of the last shutdown that we had. So people would get back pay, right? And they would get it in an expedient way, right? So here we are. Wow. Oh my goodness, paying out more than we would have if people would have just signed the CR and negotiated the ACA the way they needed to. They decided to have a debacle in our country. And then, look at the American taxpayer like, well, there's not much more we can do. The Democrats are doing this and the Republicans are doing that. And it's really sad to see grown adults be so blatantly wasteful with money that's not theirs. Because see, you got to remember, these people aren't paying taxes that are in our Congress and Senate. They're not paying taxes. They live off of the tax dollar. And, in my opinion, none of them should ever get paid to do this job. They should get a per diem, right? For their travel expenses. But that per diem is paid after you pay your own money to be there. So if that's travel, if that's, hotel stays, whatever it is, and then you have to turn in your receipts and then you get reimbursed for the money that you've paid out, but you should never get a salary for doing this job. And we've seen how corrupt our government has become because they have these salaries, right? And then people are like, well, that's not enough. And then they're getting money from all these donors and different people. It's like, wow. So I know who your God is. I know who you care about because you don't care about the American people. You say that you care, but we know better. And that's the unfortunate part. But yeah, he'll get the money from somewhere. And you know, my husband and I were talking about it. I was like, yeah, kind of sounds like socialism, right? We'll get the money from somewhere. There's no direct path. We'll just get it from somewhere. We'll just do this. We'll just transition this money from one place to the other. It's like, oh my goodness. Let's not not. Okay. So I also wanted to play this next video. Now, this next video is kind of a compilation video. I'm not going to play the entire thing, but I thought there were some really good points that were put together in the video compilation just to show, I don't want to say hypocrisy, but I will say it does show the disconnect. It does show the contradiction in what's happening. But again, with the Modernization Act, people are allowed to propagandize the American public. And if you are not someone who takes the time to say, where did that come from? Was that actually said? Why did they say it? If you're not doing that and you're just relying on other people to give you sources of information, you can be swayed in the wrong way because these people don't care. They don't care what happens to the general public. If the general public gets the wrong information, whatever, they're paid. And they're paid in some instances to actually give the public misinformation. Wow. Right? So, in good conscience, do you think they are acting on behest of the country in the right way? Or are they just, paid actors? It's a question. It's a question that I'm definitely asking.
Find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
We talked about running in 2018 and machine politics in New York City. There's too much money. There's too much relationships. It's too long-tailed. Don't even bother. Don't even bother because it's just the deck is stacked too high. And we didn't listen. And a lot of times in that moment, it was seen as naive, maybe even politically, uninformed to try anyway. But we did. And we marched ahead in a distinct rejection of cynicism and a rejection of accepting a dystopian reality in this country.
What?
I can't stand JD Vance. Let's just be clear. It's never, there's nothing he could do. He could literally like
I think that it's really a good question as to why a member of Congress needs to pay for security out of money that they go and raise instead of focusing on making sure that they use that money to educate voters about why it is that their candidacy matters. I do think.
Now, I'm going to pause this really quick because in the rebuttal CR that they had, which I don't think actually passed with the Democrats, but they asked for $90 million for security training. Yeah, they asked for that. They asked for $90 million because, members of Congress need security. The reason why members of Congress need security is because you've lied to the American public. And you've been doing it for a long time. And the other reason why you need security, you need to thank Maxine Waters for this, because this is your party doing this. You need to talk to her, because she said you need to go out and you need to get into their faces. Because see, prior to her saying any of that, members of Congress could walk down the street in Washington, D.C. Nobody was bothering you. Nobody was messing with you. Nobody, I don't want to say nobody cared, but everybody knew you were working, right? So unless they needed to ask you a question, then they would ask you a question. But see, Maxine Waters said, hey, you need to go out, you need to get in their face, and you need to tell them how disappointed you are with this country. Thank your party for you needing security. That's all I'm saying.
That it does people like me a disservice when you are so outspoken. And then what happens is, instead of you being able to put all your dollars into campaigning, instead you've got to do things like pay for your security. But I kind of value my life, so it is what it is. And
Jasmine Crockett is actually what the Democrats should be leaning into, like, because she is a phenomenal messenger. And some people just got it. Like, some people just have a different anointing on them. You don't know why certain people, cause folks to gravitate towards them.
I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That is completely different. Being a criminal is more so about your mindset. Committing a crime can come for a lot of different reasons.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal.
The violence doesn't come from Democrats, just to be clear. I mean, obviously anyone can be a criminal, but it is MAGA. It's specifically MAGA faction. Like,
conservatives are living in a completely different information world than liberals. And breaking that down needs to be done. Because when you don't ever even hear the facts, it's hard to even know that you're wrong. And that happens a lot.
Wait for it. Here it comes.
Babies wear diapers, and I'm not a baby. And you're wearing a diaper. Well, babies wear diapers, and you're wearing a diaper. Well, I'm not a baby. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. I meant you're wearing a diaper. I'm not a baby. You're wearing a diaper. I'm not a baby, though. Yes. You're wearing a diaper. Well, I'm not a baby. You're wearing a diaper. I'm not. Well, I'm not even a baby, though. But you're wearing a diaper. You can't say but. That's a bad word. Well, I didn't say real but.
What's wrong with you people?
Half my job sometimes is knowing what the latest conspiracy is. Yeah. So that if it comes up, I'm ready to address it.
What do you mean by that?
Because it happens a lot where people don't even know that what they're saying or what they've seen and believe is not true.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details.
I have to pause that really quick. Like, oh my goodness. I remember, and this was when Donald Trump had got shot. And Patty Cakes, thank you so much for reposting the stream and joining us this morning. And Black Flag says, great day, Black America. Wake up, melanin strong and unstoppable. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and reposting the stream. And I remember when this was the talking point by the Democratic Party. No, he was not shot. Interestingly enough, if he wasn't shot, then why were there other people that got injured? And actually, a man lost his life at this event. And it was something that should not have been taken lightly. But they framed it in a way that it was like, we don't know if he really got hit, if there was something conspiracy. I was like, wow, but that's where we are. And she's not going to be held accountable for her words because, hey, we have freedom of speech. And even if it was propaganda, right, to say that it wasn't a bullet that hit the president, it doesn't matter because under the Modernization Act, they can say these things on American soil to Americans to dissuade us. It's wild.
Details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much?
Don't do drugs. If you're doing it, stop it. Get some help.
This seems to be kind of also another litmus test for how to be in MAGA world. I mean, is this the new reality for this MAGA era of politicians, that they don't back down when they're confronted with facts? It's clear as day. The FBI put out statistics. Crime is going down. You don't have to twist the facts.
The FBI quietly comes out with this new data that shows actually violent crime is up 4.5% during that time frame.
The only person making an accusation that people are not getting what they've asked for is Trump, falsely claiming that the administration is withholding resources because of political affiliation. That is just not true.
Well, the Federal Emergency Management Agency is facing major backlash after confirming reports that a supervisor ordered disaster relief workers to avoid homes with Trump yard signs.
There's actually not any evidence linking any of Hunter Biden's wrongdoings to Joe Biden. You are incorrect. You think that Biden would actually pardon Hunter Biden, despite him saying
Yes, as a father, he would.
No.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president has ruled out pardoning his son.
Breaking news. President Biden has just pardoned his son.
And so that happens a lot. And I don't come away from that saying, what's the point of this? People are just saying false things. I think that one time that person brings up something that is debunked and false, and I debunk it at the table, might be the very first time that someone out there has heard an alternative point of view.
They're lunatics. They've gone crazy. They're crazed people. Trump derangement syndrome. There really is that disease. At first, I found it to be amusing. Now I find there really is.
Look, the safest communities in America, they all have one thing in common. They invest in people. Yeah. When a child is hungry, you don't say, hey, look, would you like to meet the commander of the 15th Police District? You
gotta fix the material.
Right?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
2,000 years later.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show that compilation. And it's really sad because, Abby, she's a decent commentator on her program on CNN. But there was just been a lot of times that a lot of things she's claiming I'm debunking this and she's the one being debunked. It's very crazy. There are just times when you can't just sell your soul, right? To make a dollar. And that's what's happening, in my opinion, to a lot of these commentators, especially those that are melanated. Now, because I'm not going to just say someone is a Black American because they may not be. I don't know everybody's background directly. So I will say they are melanated and they're used, right, to do certain things, to set the stage for a narrative. I'm telling you, DEI has definitely kicked people in the teeth. Just saying. I am just saying. Now, we're going to get into some more news. I'm just trying to collect my thoughts and make sure I go to the next um transitional conversation we need to have. Congress lobby. Oh, yes. That is something that I came across that I wanted to share with you guys. Because apparently Congress has been lobbied to control ChatGPT. Now, I don't know if a lot of you have been aware of this or not, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. So when I say ChatGPT, I'm talking about, ChatGPT and some of the more mainstream AI LLMs, which are the large language models that we use. I mean, I'll sometimes use ChatGPT or I will use Grok. Now, I'm not using it to build things. I really use it to just aggregate information and sometimes just to double check and verify, right, that things are going on. So I use it as more of a research tool than I use it as something to create things. But apparently, Congress has been lobbied to restrict ChatGPT and similar AI technologies, though the efforts are multifaceted. So there are advocacy groups, parents, and some lawmakers are pushing for stricter federal regulations to address risks like child safety, privacy, and societal harms. Conversely, AI companies like OpenAI, right, are lobbying heavily to limit or preempt these restrictions, often favoring lighter federal level rules over state by state mandates. This tension has led to proposed bills and amendments in 2025, but no comprehensive federal AI law has passed yet. Right. And a lot of this, they keep trying to use children like, oh, no, we have to protect the children. No, this is about lawyers and doctors that are tired of not having clients. Okay. Because now people can do for themselves. Because where before people had to rely on attorneys and retaining them, they can now go to AI and figure out which documents to file on their own behalf because people do have the right to go pro se, right? Which means you're basically representing yourself. But what does that happen? What happens to then the legal field, right? Because I'm a paralegal myself, right? So what happens? You start losing money if people can do this on their own. But the difference is, and here's my thing, just because somebody can use ChatGPT doesn't necessarily mean they know how to use it or in what way. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they won't get an attorney, but they may want to double check what their attorney's doing, right? So they're not being taken advantage of. And I respect that, as people should. You should have all of this information because guess what? Even without ChatGPT, you can go to any law library and people can't tell you you can't, and you can do the research yourself. Seriously? Oh my gosh, AI is turning the world upside down. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. So there's child safety companion chatbots, right? And those are the ones that people are really concerned about because there was a young man last year. He was 14 years old. He took his life getting involved in a relationship with an AI chatbot that convinced him to commit suicide. So Google, yes, is on the hook for this one. Now, broader AI harms and licensing, right? Bipartisan efforts, including from Senators Blumenthal and Hawley, propose requiring government licenses for developing advanced AI models like those powering ChatGPT. This would limit deployment to vetted companies and addresses risk like election interference and job displacement. Huh? Okay, keep going. Right? These ideas stem from the 2023 hearings where OpenAI CEO Sam Altman himself called for regulation, though his company's later lobbying has shifted toward self-serving exemptions. Yeah, he was mad because he was like, yeah, I'm doing this and now I have competition. Sir, You're not going to be the Google of AI. But that's what you want to be, Mr. Altman. That's why you're standing by the president. We all know the game. We know the game, sir. Stop it. State level pressures influencing Congress. With over 1,000 state AI bills introduced in 2025, California's SB 1047 for safety testing of large models like ChatGPT. So they want to make sure that they have control of it. Stop it. Stop that. Oh my goodness. Counter lobbying against restrictions. So big tech's influence, right? OpenAI, Meta, and Google and others spent over 36 million on federal lobbying in the first half of 2025 alone, a record high to oppose stringent rules. OpenAI spending jumped nearly sevenfold from 2023 to 1.6 million in 2024, focusing on bills like the No Fakes Act, deepfakes, while pushing for a federal moratorium on state AI laws to avoid a patchwork of regulations. In May 2025, a House Republican amendment to the One Big Beautiful Bill, H.R. 1, proposed a 10-year ban, remember, on state AI regulations backed by industry groups like Encompass, but it was stripped by the Senate in July. Yeah, because they wanted to make it so where AI could basically have its reign and rule over the entire United States, by the way, through the One Big Beautiful Bill. And they were like, no, not doing that, because then states would not have the ability to stop it in their state. Now, states have that ability. They can shut it down. Yeah. Yeah. They have a lot more control than what they say. Industry arguments. So the current status and outlook, and I thought this was really interesting. Congress has introduced dozens of AI bills in 2025, but most remain stalled amid partisan divides and industry pushback. The House has restricted its own use of ChatGPT to the paid plus version for research only, no sensitive data, reflecting internal caution. States like California continue leading with laws requiring AI safety disclosures, influencing federal debates on X, and discussions highlighting public divides. Some users note grassroots rebellion against AI on platforms like Instagram, lobbying for congressional curbs, while others embrace it. So, overall, lobbying for restrictions is real and growing, driven by documented harms, but big tech's spending gives it significant sway. So, expect more hearings and bills in late 2025, potentially tying AI rules to broader tech privacy packages. So and that's what we have to pay attention to when we see things like this, and they're all back and forth and they're so upset about the CR, the government shutdown. Y'all are going to try to weasel something in there for AI. So we really need to pay attention to this part, that they don't try to squeeze this in to, what I'm saying, the CR when it's coming on. And sincerely, Lawless, thank you for joining us. And Uncle Coolwater says, good morning. And Uncle Coolwater says, I read you can actually use AI to research your court case as your assistant paralegal, as long as you let the court know that you did research using AI. Absolutely. When you're dealing with the court, you can utilize it, right? To your point, Uncle Coolwater, and disclose your resources. That's just citing your source, right? Yeah, it's like I used AI to do this and do that. And yes, and now you're going to see that a lot more, as you should, with our Congress, using AI. And they're like, well, we're just using the paid version, whatever. Everybody's using this, and everybody should be, should know how to use it, right? But now we have to be careful. Because what we don't want is Congress to have the ability to block, right, information that we can now get readily available through these different AI models. Now, there are some called Claude, Cloude. That's one that hasn't been, from what I've told, messed with. I use Grok a little bit more these days that had been developed by Elon Musk. And there's one other one, but there are a few others that I've come across. I haven't tested them out yet, but they are better LLMs. They're more private. Everything doesn't go up to the cloud, so to speak, as shared information. Um, I don't know. I'm just not worried about it because again, what I do is I just try to aggregate information that's already out there and readily available to compile it to get an answer. I'm a paralegal, like that's all I'm doing. It's like, okay, I'm just going to multiply myself instead of me doing it by hand. I was like, okay, can you just go out and get this information and aggregate it for me because this is what I'm looking for. And that's it. That's pretty much what I use it for. And that's, in my opinion, that's the best way to use it, right? So that you can get the answer that you are looking for. I'm not going to use it to build a nuclear reactor because that's not what I'm into. I'm just into the information, right? And sharing good information with my audience. So, on from there, and this is really just kind of prompting us and setting the stage of where we're going to go to next. We're going to look at the latest. Oh, and Jay says, I use Copilot AI. Okay, so there's another one that can be used. And yes, and if you guys know of any other AIs, large language models out there that are useful, right? That, for now, they haven't been completely compromised, but for now, they can be used in a good way to help individuals who didn't necessarily have access before to a ton of information. They can use that to get that information and learn and be better. I think a lot of these lawyers and doctors, they're afraid of being replaced because AI. If you tell AI like this is what's going on with me, and I need maybe an exercise plan or an eating plan, can you put something together for me for my situation? It can do that. It can basically do that for you, but it's not doing it because it has your blood type and all that stuff. It's doing it based on the information you give it and the information that's already out there. It's just aggregating. That's all it's doing. It's just collectively saying if somebody is tired and sleepy and I don't know, they have a rash or whatever, they might say, okay, yeah, you might have this diagnosis, or, this could be going on with your digestive system. Try eating this way, right? Try doing this, try doing that. It's no different than what a doctor is doing, but it's a lot cheaper. Just saying. And doctors are going to start losing money. They are going to start losing patients. You know why? Because we all know the game now with all of this insurance, right? We all know the game now. And nobody's happy about it. Okay. I think as the United States, as they like to say, the cat's out of the bag. Cat's out of the bag. Toothpaste is out of the tube. All of these congressmen and women running around shouting about, oh, the ACA, and we need to do. We all know that you are giving money to the insurance companies. We all know what you're doing is harmful to us. And you're just going to keep pressing forward with it. This is wild.
Amendment that Whip Catherine Clark and I are introducing that would extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for 3 years. Millions of working class Americans all across this country are struggling from the high cost of living that exists in the United States of America. This country is too expensive. Now, Donald Trump and Republicans promised all throughout 2024 that costs were going to go down on day one. But costs aren't going down for the American people under Republican complete control of government. Costs are going up. Housing costs up. Grocery costs up. Electricity bills through the roof. And now, because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of Americans are about to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. In some cases, everyday Americans, working class Americans, middle class Americans are going to see their premiums go up by $1,000 or $2,000 per month. We have an affordability crisis here in the United States of America, and Republicans continue to bury their heads in the sand.
Okay, so you heard him. People call him like Walmart Obama. I don't know why they call him that, because I wouldn't compare him to Obama. He is Hakeem Jeffries. He has made his mark, right, in Congress. And he's a good salesman. I mean, he's got a good sales pitch. You know, he's blaming all of this on the Republicans. And they do that. They blame each other whenever the economy is bad. They do that. It's not bad just because of the Republicans. It's bad because Republicans and Democrats made horrible decisions during COVID. By the way, you stopped supply chains. You literally destroyed companies. Supply and demand. If there's more demand than supply, then prices are going to be higher. You brought over, millions of people that don't belong on this soil. Again, supply and demand. When supply is higher and when demand is higher and there's less supply, the prices are going to be upside down. This is just basic economics. And you don't care. But you want to pick a fight. It's all the Republicans' fault. No, it's not. It's both of your faults. It's both of you. And asking us to put more money into a failed program, and it was failed from the beginning, and I'm going to show that. I'm going to show the architect who actually said that Americans are stupid for even getting behind this. Oh, yeah, there's that. My only suggestion to those of you out there, drop your insurance. Drop it. Drop it. Unless you are getting Medicare or Medicaid, right, in certain circumstances, because some people do get that depending on their monies. Drop it. Drop your whole insurance plan. Just drop it, because it's actually cheaper for you to go self-pay. It is. It's cheaper. And I showed that on my program yesterday. It's cheaper. Do self-pay. Get out of the Affordable Care Act. Get out of it. Then that way, they don't have anybody, because right now the insurance companies are making money hand over fist. They're being subsidized by the government through our tax dollars. Okay. And I'm not talking about the subsidies of Medicare and Medicaid. No, I'm talking about just basic insurance that people get through the companies that they work for. They're getting subsidized for that. And then those people that actually have insurance pay co-pays, and they pay a monthly fee, and they're paying all of these fees, right? But then when something happens and they actually need to go to the doctor, it's like, well, you haven't met your $5,000 deductible. Huh? And you've been paying, but you haven't had an incident where you have to meet your deductible to when your insurance kicks in. And then even when your insurance kicks in, the hospital can charge you anywhere from 200 to 400% more than the person that's self-pay. They didn't tell us any of this. They told us you have to have insurance. It's helpful for you. You have completely lied to the American public. When you are complete communist, full and complete socialist and communist, you are, because you're demanding that people pay something for a service that is useless. It's useless. And you know who can tell you it's useless? People that went through Katrina, people that went through the whole thing in North Carolina, in the Appalachians. Yeah, they can tell you insurance is useless, because when it was supposed to be there, it wasn't for anybody, nor was the federal government, by the way. Here's $700. Hope your life goes well, Lahaina. Let's look. We're tired of being lied to, and we're tired of these demands put on us. You demand that we have car insurance. You demand that we have homeowners insurance. You demand that we have medical insurance. You make all of these insurance demands, but when it's needed, it's not useful. It's actually harmful. So how am I giving you all my money? And then what you say is supposed to be there for me when I need it isn't there. And how is a free market company, by the way, backed by the federal government? And then laws demanding that you have to have these things. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Yes, you are all communist, hiding within the Republican and the Democratic Party. I'm going to call it like it is. And if you don't like it, you can call me on this show and debate me. Please tell me where it's not happening. Tell me who's not the communist here that you scream and yell about all the time. And socialism. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Yeah, look, it's out in our face and it's out in the open. And we need better people if we're going to have a federal government that actually works for the people. We need better representation. Hakeem Jeffries, he's trying. You know, he's trying. I got to give it to him. He's trying. But, you know, he's a failure along with the other part. They're failures because they're not there for the American people. They don't care. They don't care. Because, see, at the end of the day, they have sided with evil and they're okay with it. They are all okay with it. And Cajun Lady says, good morning with her red, white, and blue hearts. Good morning to you, Cajun Lady. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, this next video, it's Alex Jones. I'm not going to play the entire video. I'm just going to play the first initial part. But he is talking about Scott Jennings. I like Scott Jennings, but he is the token Republican. He is. He's a token Republican on CNN to show that they are unbiased, right? But let's check it out.
Obamacare has been exposed as a complete and utter failure. We all know it now. Everybody admits it. The other thing that came out is that Democrats are willing to make people suffer. And you heard Democrat after Democrat today say, well, we just couldn't prolong the suffering. So they admit that their political tactics were designed to inflict suffering on the American people. We also learned about cynical politics in this. But the overall issue of health care is going to have to be dealt with because the system has failed. Everyone, I think it's bipartisan now, admits it. But I'm not sure that having Mike Johnson commit to giving billions of dollars to insurance companies for insurance that's not getting any better, it feels like it's getting worse to the American people, is going to make a difference. I could see Democrats and Republicans coming together to discuss that. Like, if we're going to spend this amount of money, should we be just giving it to insurance companies, or should we be doing something else with it that would actually have a chance of making it feel like you could get seen by a doctor and get a better health outcome? But what we're doing now, writing checks to health insurance companies, is not getting us any better outcomes at all.
Okay, so let's have some real solutions. Pass a federal law that insurance companies must divest all interest in drug companies. Yeah, they set the drug prices, they rip you off. That's why, oh, the insurance company's paying 60% of this expensive drug. How nice of them. They own the damn drug that they tripled the price on to completely screw you.
It's not wrong.
Let's play Scott Jennings. Again, smart guy. He's smart enough to know this. Oh, Obamacare is a failure. It didn't work. No, it was a premeditated screw job with the Emanuels and with Gruber and with Obama and the insurance companies. And they're on record, and you know that, Jennings, because they never want you to know. He's a big Republican establishment guy, very articulate. I think he's very smart. But he always, oh, they're idiots. Oh, they don't know. Because you never admit it's on purpose that you got screwed. That's 10 times worse. And now you understand it's in total bad faith. Now you're not debating the mindless policies that their idiot constituents can't even understand. Now you can explain to their constituents, these are bad men that fucked you. Here is Gruber saying, no. Let's not pull out the nuclear weapons. Let's not show them admitting it's a screw job. Let's just say it's those dumb liberals again. Boy, they just don't know what they're doing. I'm giving you the philosophy of victory here, people. That's why some of it's repetitive. Go to Jennings. Here it is.
One thing that came out of this entire fight is that the healthcare system in this country has been, Obamacare, has been exposed as a complete and utter failure. We all know it now. Everybody admits it. The other thing that came out is that Democrats are willing to make people suffer. And you heard Democrat after Democrat today say, well, we just couldn't prolong the suffering. So they admit that their political tactics were designed to inflict suffering on the American people. We also learned about cynical politics in this. But the overall issue of health care is going to have to be dealt with because the system has failed. Everyone, I think it's bipartisan now, admits it. But I'm not sure that having Mike Johnson commit to giving billions of dollars to insurance companies for insurance that's not getting any better, it feels like it's getting worse to the American people, is going to make a difference. I could see Democrats and Republicans coming together to discuss that, like if we're going to spend this amount of money, should we be just giving it to insurance companies or should we be doing something else with it that would actually have a chance of making it feel like you could get seen by a doctor and get a better health outcome? But what we're doing now, writing checks to health insurance companies, is not getting us any better outcomes at all.
Okay, so let's have some real solutions. Pass a federal law that insurance companies must divest all interest in drug companies. Yeah, they set the drug prices, they rip you off. That's why, oh, the insurance company's paying 60% of this expensive drug. How nice of them. They own the damn drug that they tripled the price on to completely screw you. Remember, we're 4% of the population of the world. We pay 76% of all the costs. Of all the money spent, we are literally seen as complete morons. Gruber said, thank God the American people are so stupid. Here's the quote. The stupidity of the American voter led us to hide Obamacare's true cost from the public. I got the video. It's coming up. But that's what I'm... It's just, come on, people. The insurance companies and the drug companies are all merged, the big ones, and they're raping you. They're raping me. We know what they're doing. We know how to fix it. And that's why they want me off the air. Because I'll tell you, and you can go look this up. This is not hidden. But Jennings didn't tell you that. He's the good Republican up there. He, it really didn't work, and they're dumb, and we don't know what to do. Gee, it's broken. It ain't broken. When Attila the Hun was racing through Europe, killing millions of people and dominating everybody and sacking major cities, he wasn't failing. He was doing it on purpose.
Yeah. It's that part, right? He was doing it on purpose. All of this is on purpose. Come on. How else are they going to destroy America? They give you food that makes you sick. You go to the doctor, they give you a pill that makes you sicker. Because they're not trying to cure you, they're treating you. But all the while, they want you to pay for insurance to pay this doctor. And the insurance that you're paying and the drug that the doctor prescribed, they're owned by the same company. And then our government is giving them subsidies behind that. So who's actually getting the assistance here? It's not the American people. I'm telling you, our government, our federal government has left us. They have left us for the dollar, the almighty dollar that they serve. Okay, period. And Beginner's Fitness Journey says, I don't think these insurance companies should pick and choose what they cover. I don't pick what months you took from my money. Exactly. Because you'll go for something like, oh, we don't cover that. Or we only cover that for 70%. What good are you? You're useless. You're absolutely useless. That's why I'm like, you know what? I'm encouraging everybody, just walk. Let's do the walk away, right? Just as you walked away from these crazy parties, because both of them are just hot messes right now. You walked away. Okay, great. Walk away from these insurance companies because they have things like GoodRx and all these other things if you don't actually have insurance, right? Which I still think are owned by the insurance companies, which are, again, then subsidized by our tax dollars. But you have probably a better outcome not having insurance. Because the doctors are not there to cure you. They're there to treat you. And as long as they're treating you, they're making money off of you. It has become one of the most amazing siphoning projects, in my opinion, that the world's ever seen, because they truly, truly don't care. Now we're going to take another look. He mentioned a gentleman by the name of Gruber, Steve Gruber. This person was the consultant to Obama to actually frame Obamacare. Okay. So we're going to, look at, Alex's video, and then we're going to do a compilation of Steve Gruber just to let you guys know a little bit more about who he is, how he was involved. And when people mention this person, you'll know who they're talking about.
Obamacare. I don't know who he is. He didn't help write our bill.
Most people think that he's one of the best outside experts, Mr. Gruber of MIT.
I don't know if you have seen Jonathan Gruber of MIT's analysis. And so...
Jonathan Gruber is one of the most respected economists in the world.
He attended 5 of the 12 meetings at the Obama White House in 2009, including the meeting with the president.
I was a paid consultant to the Obama administration to help develop the technical details of the bill. $6 million.
Okay, he was paid $6 million to consult on Obamacare. Or I should say on the Affordable Care Act. I will not call it Obamacare. But yes, he was paid.
And consulting fees on Obamacare. Who knew you could make so much money working for the government, huh?
And so...
The fact that some advisor,
an advisor
who never worked on our staff,
I've stolen ideas from liberally, John Gruber.
Obama was a little more relaxed. I think he took a cigarette break halfway through.
Expressed an opinion that I completely disagree with in terms of the voters.
That passed. The American voters are too stupid to understand it. Call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. It's a very clever, basic exploitation of the lack of economic understanding of the American voter.
There's no reflection on the actual process that was run.
And the only way we could take it on was first by mislabeling it. And John Kerry said, no, we're going to tax your health insurance. We're going to tax those evil insurance companies.
Gruber, who has been our guide on a lot of this.
But we all know it's really a tax on people who hold those insurance plans.
I think it's fair to say that there was not a provision in the health care law that was not extensively debated.
This bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies.
Mr. Gruber of MIT, he's got big computer models. He takes the CBO data, and frankly, in some respects, he's helped CBO by giving some information to CBO that otherwise does not have.
You had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in. It made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money. It would not have passed.
And was fully transparent.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And over time, it's going to apply to more and more health insurance plans.
And so...
How can that make sense?
And he goes, and then they'll make huge profits, and then it'll wreck the system within 15 to 20 years, and then we're going to go to single payer, and it'll be socialized, but the insurance companies will have guaranteed profit. It's more of a fascist model where they have guaranteed profits, but we call it communism. And there are these different clips. I just told them, go look up Jonathan Gruber. I don't know which one they found. There's a bunch of them. Just look it up yourself. And it shows the university, all these gray-haired faculty going, and they've got PhD students in there, and they're just celebrating. Yeah, there's so many videos of him going around and training how to lie. I've never even seen this one. The really bad one is it's like on C-SPAN, and he's up on a stage. I almost has like a blue-gray background. I've never even seen this one. The point is, he runs around everywhere bragging how he F's everybody. And I sat there when Obamacare kicked in, because, by then, a few years later, people figured it out. I stopped seeing the weeping and wailing. But, man, for the first year it came in, the time I was at the doctor myself, my kids, probably 5-6 times, I would just... People are like, what? My bill's double? My bill's triple? What are you doing? And they're like, we're sorry, it's not us. They had like printouts saying, see right here on the bill. They'd turn the computer around. See right here? Actually said Affordable Care Act. kicking you off your old insurance for all the smaller companies that weren't as bad or corrupt in some cases, making you get health care, even though it's way cheaper just to save money to yourself, and you wonder why there's all this inflation in the market and why it's the worst area of inflation. So that's the reality. And so I have to sit there and be lectured by leftists on the street and on TV and the professors. We want to kill people. We want to starve people. Oh my God, we need single payer. We need national health care. When as bad as ours is, Canada, the UK, everybody knows it's way worse. And they're going to wreck it even worse. And Trump's trying to fix it. And he said it's so horrible and so screwed up, he doesn't even know what to do. All he can do is make these companies do things like, we're 4% of the world population. We pay 76% of world healthcare costs. And so Trump's been using tariff laws through the World Economic Forum against Big Pharma. That's why they come up to the podiums and act like they're agreeing, but he actually put them over his knee. You think they're happy about that? No, that's why the Ozempic director literally collapsed when he's nodding his head. Yes, sir, we'll cut the price in half. Yes, sir. Oh, hundreds of billions of dollars Trump was taking away from him. And of course, said it doesn't even matter because the stuff's pure poison, but you get where I'm going with this. So I got the Gruber clips coming up. There's so many. But it's your own adventure. Go watch him make fun of you. And, you know who his buddy was? The co-author of it? Oh, he's planning to run for president against Newsom. His name's Rahm Emanuel. He was heavily involved with his brother. It was like the co-chair, him and his brother, Ezekiel Emanuel. Very, very nice people.
Yeah.
So here's a...
And if anybody remembers Rahm Emanuel, he's in Chicago.
Short compilation of late-night establishment mouthpieces that read off teleprompters, but the Democrats load up for them. Literally, they get the talking points to the writers. That's on record. Flipping out over this and mad at Chucky Schumer because he couldn't somehow control the other Democrats that didn't want to commit political suicide with their constituencies, because the public's figured this out now. It's taken a long time. But Obamacare is like being raped with a cactus. Here it is.
So, yes.
Yeah. And Cajun Lady says, Obama gives off Antichrist vibes. Everything was done to rob and pillage the Americans. Yeah. And the Cajun Lady also says, no loyalty amongst thieves. They'll eat their own. Oh, yeah. They're definitely going to do that. This is all going to go back to people blaming and pointing fingers at one another. It's their fault. It's their fault. Like, yeah, it's all y'all's fault. Just, grow up, take responsibility. You've lost the trust of the American people a long time ago, and you don't care. And good morning to you too. AB2000 says, good morning. Always a great show. Thank you so much. I just hope I'm giving you guys good information. Now, all of the links to these clips I have, I'll definitely share them with you on the post later today. But for time's sake, I do want to go to a compilation that I found of Mr. Gruber and him talking about the Affordable Care Act.
You can't do it politically. You just literally cannot do it. Okay? Transparent financing, unless I have transparent financing, also transparent spending. I mean, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay? So it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay? Just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And, it's the second best argument. Look, I wish Mark was right. We can make it all transparent. But I'd rather have this law than not. So it's kind of like his reporter story. There's things I wish I could change, but I'd rather have this law than not.
So first of all, you haven't publicly commented on this so far. Do you stand by the comments in that video?
The comments in the video were made at an academic conference. I was speaking off the cuff. And
other messages you wrote, John Kerry, former volume, were like the staff, came up with a great substitute idea. They said, look, what you economics nerds want to do is you want to say that for people with expensive health insurance plans, they will no longer get a 40% tax break. What if we instead just levied a 40% tax on the insurance companies that sell these terrible expensive Cadillac plans? We said, well, that's pretty much the same thing, but why does it matter? I said, you'll see. And they were both in, and that passed. Because the American voter is too stupid to understand the difference. Okay? So basically...
I was speaking off the cuff, and I think...
Until the second Massachusetts hero arose, John Kerry. And John Kerry said, no, we're going to tax your health insurance. We're going to tax those evil insurance companies. We're going to impose a tax that if they sell health insurance that's too expensive, we're going to tax them. And conveniently, the tax rate will happen to be the marginal tax rate under the income tax code. So basically, it's the same thing. We just tax the insurance companies. They pass it on higher prices. That offsets the tax break we get. It ends up being the same thing. It's a very clever, basic exploitation of the lack of economic understanding of the American voter. Okay.
I was speaking off the cuff.
Yeah. He was speaking off the cuff every single time. The same talking points. No, sir, those are talking points. You were not speaking off the cuff. You just had memorized what you were saying. And like all things that are evil, you had to tell us exactly what you were doing so we would know. Right? Because that's how evil works. They can't just deceive you. They have to tell you they're deceiving you, and then you have to accept the deceit. And once you do, you're on the hook for it. But once you find out that you are being deceived, you have the opportunity to walk away. So yes, they did impose a tax on to the insurance companies. Okay, impose a tax. But then the insurance companies were like, well, we don't want to lose money, so we're going to pass that on to the consumer. And they said, well, we don't want you to pass that on to the consumer, so we're going to put something in place to be a buffer for the consumer. And this is where ACA kicks in, the subsidies that they keep talking about that are being paid to the insurance companies that are supposed to keep your healthcare costs low, but they're not. Because see, they're still passing that 40% onto the American public. So this is a bad circular argument that goes nowhere. And the people that benefit are the insurance companies. And, as Alex Jones actually shared, they're the same ones that own the pharmaceutical companies as well. Interesting how that works. And it is interesting how sometimes they'll say, well, you can't take these medications. We no longer accept them. I wonder if those are the insurance company, the pharmaceutical companies that they don't own. Do you ever think about that? I just thought about that. I was like, wow, maybe they don't own those pharmaceutical companies, so they don't want competition. I mean, this is breaking so many antitrust laws and monopoly laws. But because we have people in there that are literal criminals. And I know a lot of people might get offended that I'm calling their representative criminals, but they are. Because if you're not doing anything about this, then you're going along with it. Period. That's where we're at. That is where we are. Either you're going to come out from among them or you're going to be a part of it. And AB 2000 says insurance companies own the banks too. Absolutely. Like I'm telling you, in all of the roundabout ways, their money is circulating. They don't lose dollars. They just collect them. But in my opinion, this ACA Act needs to be abolished. Period. And insurance companies need to be able to stand on their own. Period. And if people want to purchase your product, then they'll purchase it, not being forced to. Okay. And the good thing is there's no tax, because remember when it initially started, they taxed people and they penalized them for not participating in Obamacare, what was supposed to make insurance cheaper, right? It never did. It never did, because it taxed the insurance companies. The insurance companies got subsidized by our federal government. And then on top of that, charged that 40% tax onto the American people. So what do you think is going to happen? It's going to go up, and it's going to keep going up. But guess what? Silver lining, walk away. Walk away. Say I'm going to be self-pay. I'm not going to do the insurance thing. Now, for people that are working, my recommendation would be to do the healthcare savings, right? And get your little healthcare savings card, and you can get that without having insurance. And all that is just a bank for you. And they take out, a certain amount of money on your, out of your paycheck, and it goes on a credit card. That's yours. And you can use that for doctor's visits and different things of that nature. But it is easier to be self-pay. And we also need to demand from our federal government that all of these doctors cannot bill for annual physicals. Nope, can't bill for that. Cannot bill for it. You can bill the federal government for it because we're paying taxes into that anyway. But you cannot bill a person directly. You have to take any and all persons for their annual physicals, period. Write it off, whatever you want to do. But you can't charge people for an annual physical. I like that idea. See, to me, that would work in the best interest of the country, but they're not trying to do anything in our best interest because they don't care. They do not care. And AB 2000 says correct. Insurance companies are the biggest scams. They are. They are. It's a huge hustle, right? And we're just late to the party on the hustle, in my opinion. Okay, so now we've got some of our supposed best and brightest in Congress. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this gentleman is proposing that we take $40 million that we would have sent to Argentina. Yeah, we do send money to foreign countries, sorry. We do, because America's done some dumb things, and then they get into these stupid treaties and agreements and like, oh, we'll just send you money every year. Even though over here, our country's kind of falling apart. We're just going to send millions of dollars overseas. But separate conversation. But anyway, back to this guy. He wants to put the money into the Affordable Care Act. For what? For what? So you can give insurance companies more money? So this can get even worse. Like, this is just, it's infuriating. But here we go.
Correct that $40 billion bailout from Argentina.
Sorry, $40 billion bailout to Argentina. I misspoke.
It would redirect the money that Trump said wouldn't benefit the American people, and we would use those funds to extend the advanced premium tax credits for 2 years. Now, I'm like other people on this dais. I come from humble beginnings. I don't know what $40 billion looks like. I don't know what $1 million looks like. Neither do most of my constituents. Well, $40 billion that they use to bail out Argentina covers health care under the advanced premium tax credits for 2 years. This is an investment in the health and economic security of the American people. It's a far better use of taxpayer dollars than sending billions overseas.
Okay. That's interesting, because you're a part of the $40 billion being sent overseas. So, like, you're stupid. You're a part of that. Where do you think? Okay, it's interesting to me because the people in the House were like, we control the money. We're aware. We're completely aware. And that money doesn't go anywhere without your approvals. So just because it might have been suggested, don't send it. But don't give it to the insurance companies either for 2 years. Okay. $40 billion for 2 years. So $20 billion a year. And that's supposed to help fix insurance. No, it's not. It's going to make it worse. It's going to make it worse. I'm telling you, walk away. Walk away. We need to make our own doctor's offices. Walk away. Have our own cure centers. Cure, C-U-R-E. Because these people don't care. They want to treat people. They want to give them poison. It's. I'm telling you, we need a whole walk away movement in America and demand that these incompetent representatives be removed from office. Oh, that's right. It's called an election. Yeah. Let's get them out of office. Period. And Uncle Coldwater says, my research said that Trump did not give Argentina the whole $40 billion. He gave them $1.5 billion to test the waters. But these Democrats will make the public believe that he's sending the whole 40 billion. Right. I think it was one of those situations where it was suggested, but then it didn't happen, right? To your point, Uncle Coolwater, the whole 40 billion. But we never got back to, well, what was actually sent. So thank you for, informing us that it wasn't done. But they will use all of these. They're such liars. I don't know how these people sleep at night. It has to get to a point where you're evil. It needs to stop. But I did want to share with everybody quickly before we take a quick break about these companies, because I asked, I said, can you give me a list of countries that the United States gives money to annually? And so it's called U.S. foreign aid, right? The United States provides foreign aid annually approximately to 175 countries and territories, primarily for humanitarian, economic development, security, and strategic purposes. Aid is distributed through agencies like USAID, which we know was kind of cut back, and the Department of State, totaling around 50 to 70 billion per fiscal year. In recent years, while aid to every recipient varies annually based on global events, conflicts, or disasters, the recipients remain consistent. Below is a list of the top 20 countries receiving the most U.S. aid in fiscal year 2023, the most recent fully reported year, which accounts for about 70% of total bilateral aid, amounts in billions of USD, and include both economic and military assistance. And Only Facts and Truths, thank you so much for joining us and reposting the stream, and Minnesota Fats. Thank you so much for reposting and joining us this morning. So Ukraine is at the top, right? Now this is in billions, right? So 16.6 billion annually. Like that's what they're getting. But this is what they did in 2023. So we're not sure what 2024 looks like. So it's either going to be more or less or about the same. Okay. Israel gets 3.3 billion. And that's for military. And it says these are the type of aid, military and humanitarian. Ethiopia gets 1.8 billion, humanitarian, food, and security. Has Ethiopia gotten any better? 1.8 billion and your country's still not better? It still looks like a dust bowl? What? Why are we sending these people money? Why are we the world's piggy bank? It's disgusting. It is gross. We need reform. Period. Because I would much rather this 50 to 70 billion dollars be reinvested here in the United States to number one, get people that don't belong here off the soil. Number one. And number two, restore the lives of the people that are here. Eradicate homelessness. 50 to 70 billion dollars per year. We could do with money like that. But that's not what they're doing. And that's the evil part. Afghanistan, 1.2 billion. The Congo, 1 billion. Syria, 0.9 billion. So it's a little bit under $1 billion for Syria, South Sudan, Nigeria, Yemen, Somalia, Kenya, Iraq, Sudan, Tanzania, Colombia, Mozambique, Lebanon, Haiti. We're sending billions of dollars to these people. And then, the U.S. also provides smaller regular aid to nearly 150 more countries, including allies like India, who get a little bit less than 0.2 billion. 0.1 billion. So it's like, I guess it's like maybe more than half a billion, but under $1 billion. That's what that 0.1 says. So trends, so aid priorities shift. For example, Ukraine's allocation surged due to the 2022 invasion, while long-term recipients like Israel and Egypt maintain steady military support. We don't need military support over there. Can we just bring our troops home? Why are we there? Are we investing in anything? Are we getting any minerals from these people? Are we getting anything back from the investment that we're making? Because I don't think we are. And then the people that come over here hate America, first of all, and want to destroy it. Why are we sending you money? I mean, I just want it to stop because it's just a disgrace. at this point. Like, it's harmful. It's so harmful to the American people. But, this is where we are. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to share some news stories that I came across that were kind of shocking about what's happening in Canada. And it's one of those things, if it's happening there, you know that eventually it will come here. So, again, with that, thank you for joining us here this morning on Unfiltered Vision News, and we will see you on the other side.
The browsers of today are broken. They've been overtaken by a barrage of sneaky and annoying ads, trackers that follow your habits, and cookies that build profiles, and all sorts of other internet clutter that's taking precedence over the content that you want to see. In fact, these useless bites can take up to a whopping 50% of page load times, with a third of it anxiously trying to learn more about you. To make matters worse, some ad blockers are even letting ads through when large advertisers pay them. But do you really want a leaky ad blocker? It's because of these very reasons that we developed Brave, a new browser that kicks internet crud to the curb and makes it faster, safer, and better to surf the web than your current browser. With Brave, everything you need is built right in. We integrated technology that automatically blocks trackers, annoying ads, and shields everything that can cramp your style and destruct your privacy. With it, you can expect increased speeds nearly 2 times faster on laptops and up to 4 times faster on mobile. And unlike any other browser, Brave allows you to support your favorite publishers with automatic micropayments. So it's a win-win for you and your favorite sites. To top it all off, Brave is open source because we truly believe it's our web and we need to fix it together. So ask yourself this question. Do you want a web browser made for the internet of today? If so, try Brave. It's faster, safer, and ad-free.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And so we have a very long comment from Only Facts and Truths, who says the solution is simple. Open a health savings account for every verified U.S. citizen. Redirect the existing tax breaks and insurance subsidies back to the people and allow individuals, that's kind of long, and allow individuals to decide how to spend their own healthcare dollars. This approach forces insurance companies to compete in a true free market, right? Driving costs down and naturally regulating prices. I figured it out, and I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, right? But you're not wrong. They took away competition and subsidized it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's what they did. They took away competition and subsidized it, because right now, the way the ACA stands, if I'm in Georgia and there's a cheaper insurance company in North Carolina, I can't utilize it because they have it blocked. So you cannot buy insurance in another state. Yeah. So you blocked competition and subsidized it with federal tax dollars, which is criminal. The whole thing is criminal. I think the person saying that, they were able to deceive the American people, I think that person, he said something profound. He let us know the truth, right? And if that is true, then there needs to be a way that we can hold these people accountable. That's all I'm saying. And AB 2000 says, we need our own freedom affairs because they are intentionally wasting money. Absolutely, they are. And he says, we're spending probably 70 to 80% of our American dollars outside of America on other countries. We definitely are. And that is something that needs to stop. And again, the demands are made with the people that you put in office to represent you, because right now they don't represent us, in my opinion. They will represent the people that are in their pockets. Right. So when I see individuals like Jasmine Crockett going, yeah, I need to pay for my security because I have to protect myself. It's like, yeah, because you've sided with evil. If you hadn't sided with evil, trust me, the NOI would probably be there to protect you, but they're not, because they know you don't care. Okay. There are some people that will do it for little to no money if they know that you care about the American public, but you don't. So you're not going to get that kind of support. That's all I'm saying. You're just not going to get it. All right. Now, I want to get into these next videos now. Some of these, again, this is something that's happening in Canada. I want to point out something happening in Canada, but also that's happening in California. Right. But let's start out with Canada first. I got to pull these videos up one at a time because I had so many. But here you go.
He joins us now to talk about a recent story that you did, Michelle, that talked about grabbing. You've gone viral with this story a lot on social media, and with some surprising advice from a Toronto police officer about how to prevent auto thefts. So can you catch us up here?
Yeah, so last month at a community safety meeting in Etobicoke, Toronto police advised residents there that if they have their key fobs for their vehicles in a Faraday pouch, to leave that at the front door, so that if thieves are brazen enough to break in, they can just kind of grab it and go. And I believe we have a clip of that original advice, so let's watch what they had to say.
To prevent the possibility of being attacked in your home, leave your fobs at your front door. Because they're breaking into your home to steal your car. They don't want anything else. A lot of them that they're arresting have guns on them, and they're not toy guns, they're real guns. They're loaded.
I mean, he's right, but a lot of people are upset saying, what? Like, are you giving up on trying to catch these guys? Like, it's creating quite a furor.
It is, and I want to explain a little bit of the context as well, because what they're saying is if you put your key in a Faraday pouch, this is like basically a signal blocker. I'm not a tech expert, but some of these
it's
thieves...
a heavy pouch.
Exactly, and some of these thieves are doing relay attacks. So they're using a device, they're coming in, and they are then extending the signal of your fob to steal your car. But if they are not able to use that device because you've got it in a Faraday pouch and they're brazen enough to break in, police are saying just minimize the contact. A lot of them have guns.
Definitely, and it's terrorizing people.
Absolutely.
But I think, also we have to, and the federal government is making moves to close ports, for example, so you can't export these vehicles to the countries where there's a market for them. So it's a very complex situation, but one that is certainly out of control right now.
Absolutely out of control, and if we're talking about leaving your keys at the front door in a Faraday pouch, and I know in York region, we had a family in Unionville say police actually gave them door stoppers to prevent door kick break-ins. This is out of control.
Definitely, and frightening, so frightening. And we've heard many stories, we've covered many stories. Thank you so very much, Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, I got to give it to these two women. They sold that. I'm not buying. Look. Really? Just leave your keys out so that the thieves don't have to break in your house to steal your car. What? Again, this mindset that we need to side along with criminal behavior. You need to be okay with the criminals, you guys. Stealing. You need to be okay with them breaking in your house because, the police aren't going to be there. What? Yeah, let me play this next video. Like, Canada is wild. Canada's wild. I'm just saying. But anything that's there eventually tries to creep down to here.
Unlikely event that you find yourself the victim of a home invasion, we are urging citizens not to take matters into their own hands. While we don't want homeowners to feel powerless, we urge you to call 911 and do everything you can to keep yourself and loved ones safe until police arrive and be the best witness possible. This could mean locking yourself in a room away from the perpetrators, hiding, fleeing the home, but don't engage unless absolutely necessary. When we have a weekend like we just had, it's easy to understand our community is feeling unsafe. But let me say this once again, this does remain a safe place to live. And our service is doing everything possible to investigate these crimes and to maintain public safety. But as I mentioned, it is a shared responsibility, and we need the commitment of everyone in our community, including the criminal justice system, to ensure our region remains safe and secure. In closing, I'd just like to remind the public that as a police service, our top priority is the safety of all of our communities. And I know that these incidents have had a devastating impact on the families involved and the broader community.
Do you have any concerns about the fact that the Premier is saying you should stand up for yourself and you should defend yourself?
No, I have no concerns. The Premier can make his own statement and his own mind up about that. What I would say is, as a police service, we'll follow the laws as they're written. If the laws change, we'll change with the laws. But as it stands, we know the best defense for most people is to comply. As you've just heard, a number of safety recommendations will allow for those that are victimizing members in the community to leave and not harm anyone. It sometimes can fall on deaf ears when members feel like they have to take matters into their own hands. And the only thing I'd say is, if we are going to rely on our community members to take matters into their own hands to solve this problem, we have all failed our community. So I'll leave political comments to the politicians and let them have those conversations. But for now, the laws are written, we'll follow those laws. Advice is to rely on our police service, call 911 immediately, and let us take it from there. We see more often than not, when people comply, that injuries are not happening, and people are not victimized in terms of injury, or in this case, unfortunately, we've seen the loss of life in some of these incidents.
Yeah, so hey, you guys, in Canada, they're basically saying, if thieves come into your house, you need to comply. You need to comply. Okay? You need to just let them rob you, rape you, do whatever they need to do to you. Call 911, but don't kill this person. Don't stop them from doing what they're doing. Just comply until we can get there to help you. For real. Like that was not like Babylon B. That was not fake. That was real. And that was coming from the top, the chief. And it wants to turn around and say, well, I'm not going to make this political. We're just following the laws. Crazy. And Spud McKenzie says, good morning. And he also says, let's just say if we are Canada, right, and this foolishness happened, there would be a cherry slushy on the snow near my possessions. There were tempted to be so. Look, I'm aware. Look, sir, I'm aware. And KJ Lady says Canadians made the mistake giving their pew pew up. They did. And because they did give up their Second Amendment rights, this is what they're left with. Oh, we ain't giving up our Second Amendment rights here. Come and take it. If you can, if you dare. What? Americans, we are not going for this. But see, some of us have gone with this. And the reason why I'm saying that some of us have gone along with this, do you remember over the pandemic when they were allowing people to steal? Do you now know that they still allow people to be thieves in certain areas as long as they don't steal above a certain threshold? So they've made it okay. They even have actual policies like Lululemon. If people come into their establishment and steal anything, they're told, do not call the police. Let that person steal what they want to steal and let them walk out the door. That's a Lululemon policy. Happened here in Georgia. And one of their cashiers called the police, and that customer service rep was fired for calling the police because of theft. Lululemon said they violated their policy. So they let that person go. So that person's not working, even though they did the right thing. It's crazy. But that's what they want us to go along with. They need us to go along with dehumanizing ourselves, not protecting ourselves, going along with evil. Thou shalt not steal. That's it. They don't want us to go along with that, because if we do, they actually have to do their jobs and protect people. Now, this is something else that recently happened. Now, this happened back in September. So there was an accused sexual assault of a 3-year-old girl in Welland, Ontario. This person was let out of jail early after a violent attack of a boy. So they've got people assaulting children in Canada, and they're letting them go. They arrested this person, but then they let him go. Yeah. And this is the individual pictured here, was charged with assault on a person under the age of 16. Okay. He was serving jail time for sexually assaulting a 12-year-old boy, and then was released in March. And within 6 months, he was arrested again after the responders rushed to a Welland home where a 3-year-old girl had been seriously harmed. So he has got a problem, obviously. But Canada, they're not locking up people like this. They're letting them back out on the street. So the girl had been sexually assaulted sometime after 10 p.m. on August 30th. Nigeria police said in a news release, right? Her family discovered her injuries in the morning as she was taken to the hospital and treated. How do you not hear a 3-year-old screaming to attend to them? Yeah. They said footage from a nearby surveillance camera helped investigators identify and arrest this person. Cynical. He's now in custody, thank goodness, charged with sexual assault, interference, and aggravated sexual assault on a person under 16, breaking and entering and choke an assault. The bail hearing was Wednesday, and the matter was put over until October 15th to give him more time to consult with a lawyer. They are supporting criminal behavior everywhere. Everywhere. And we're just supposed to sit along as the general public and say, okay, we'll just let you handle this. But this is where it gets even worse. Okay. This one's going to rock y'all's world. I think so. And this is happening in California. And it's very sad, but this is what's happening.
To get diversion, you can do anxiety, depression, caffeine addiction, caffeine withdrawal, marijuana addiction, marijuana withdrawal, alcohol, same thing. It's crazy. Anyone pretty much can find a condition that will suffice to get you diversion. And I know you have photos of the baby. Father got blackout drunk, drank a pint of vodka and some beers, and basically beat his 1-year-old to death. My deputies investigated that case. Horrific. And he got diversion. And here's where it rubs me the wrong way. When he got diversion, it erased his record. So think about this. His entire record is erased. That arrest, those charges, everything. And here in California, we do background checks. Schools do for everybody. You get fingerprinted on those background checks. So right now, when this person gets fingerprinted, the arrest record's not there. He can be a teacher. He can be a coach. He could be a Boy Scout, troop leader, all those things, because the record is not there. And that's scary. And I'm going to say, if you beat your kid to death, you should not be around kids. I don't want you around my kid. And that's what troubles me. And even a bigger issue, you could be diagnosed after the fact. So you think if someone got diagnosed with a condition, it would be beforehand. But they're being diagnosed after the fact. And I think when someone's accused of something horrific, I would expect that the diagnosis would come from a psychiatrist who's a medical doctor, okay? Not a psychologist. Even a licensed marriage family therapist can diagnose you after the fact. not sure the rest of the country, but in California, if you want to volunteer and be a coach or work in schools, you do a fingerprint background check, and we make sure you're clear. Now, this individual is clear. We had a bank robber recently in a neighboring jurisdiction, convicted of bank robbery. He got mental health diversion. We have a new case of bank robbery for him here in Sacramento. Somebody burglarized somebody's house, took tens of thousands of dollars in jewelry, and got mental health diversion. So it's really being abused by these criminals. They talk about it in our jails. The phone calls are recorded. They know it. We've got them on record talking about mental health diversion, how to exploit it, and really get out of their cases.
Okay. So it's called mental health diversion. And what we need to be aware of is the fact that this can be done anywhere. Just because this is happening in California doesn't mean that it couldn't happen in your state. Okay. And Denmark, thank you so much for joining us this morning and reposting the stream. And Cajun Lady says they want to celebrate everything evil. They do. You know, good is bad, right is wrong, up is down, right? Now, biblically, we've been told that it is going to get to this point where people literally give into depraved behavior. Okay. And they celebrate it. I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much the synopsis, right? We've been warned biblically, like this is a thing. And it says, what is diversion in California? So when you hear that term, they might use something else. But see, whenever you put mental around anything, you know, that's a trigger word. Were you guys triggered when you heard diversion? You weren't. You were actually being like, okay, so that means we're shifting something from one place to another, right? It's a subtlety. But as that chief of police was saying, he goes, it's being abused, right? And people are being treated after the fact, and it's erasing their record. So somebody could have murdered a 2-year-old, got diversion, and it was applied to them, and they have no record. And then this person could turn around and be a preschool teacher. And no one would ever know because it wouldn't come up in their background. Yeah. Yeah, I know I made a very extreme case, but that's what he's talking about. So in California, diversion refers to pretrial programs that allow eligible defendants charged with certain crimes to avoid a traditional criminal prosecution, conviction, or potential jail prison time. Instead, they complete a program, counseling, community service, drug treatment, or education, and upon successful completion, the charges are dismissed. This keeps the record clean, no conviction, but an arrest record may still exist unless sealed, right? So diversion is not a right. It's at the judge's discretion, or sometimes prosecutors, and eligibility depends on the crime, defendant's history, and case facts. But as you heard that captain just say, he goes, it's being abused. And so there are judges that are allowing it to be used and it's being abused. It's happening. So they have misdemeanor. So they have the different types, right? So if it's a misdemeanor, most misdemeanors except DUI, domestic violence, stalking, certain sex offenses involving minors. The requirements, no felony, no prior felony in the past 5 years, defendant poses no threat to public safety, program up to 24 months. But how do they know that? And the charges get dismissed with no conviction. Yeah. So these people are getting a clean record. Basically, they used to call it, oh gosh, I want to say it was like a mental term, insanity. Like they would claim insanity, right? So they would get like a lesser sentence or be moved to a mental facility or whatever. This is, in my opinion, is very similar. But you're just giving people a get out of jail free card. They have drug diversion, mental health diversion, right? So they have different levels of diversion. Military diversion, misdemeanors committed by veterans. With the mental one, that was crazy. It says for the mental health diversion, any offense if linked to a qualifying mental disorder, right? PTSD, schizophrenia, bipolar. So they say, oh, I was bipolar when I did this. They have the potential to get this dismissed, right? Diagnosed with a mental disorder. Disorder was a significant factor in the crime. Treatment plan up to 2 years. So they just have to be in a treatment, and they get treated, by the way, if they qualify for this. And the charges are dismissed, and there's no conviction. Now that's what's happening in California. And a lot of times things that happen in California, they do bleed out and they come over here. And Cajun's lady says, an attempt to normalize insanity. Absolutely. And these are penal codes. And that's why that chief of police was putting out the warning, like, this stuff is being abused. And he's just trying to, get the word out and warn people. Like, what? I mean, really, what is going on in our society? But, hey, it is interesting. Let me see. And AB 2000 says they're keeping Black people locked up, though. They are. They are. Because a lot of these people that are being released, we saw some of it. They were not citizens of this country. And it was very interesting how that chief of police in Canada, he kept calling them community members. I was like, wow, you don't have citizens of your society? They're just these community members? Like, it's weird. It's weird. No, we have citizens here. We have non-citizens. And again, I beat this drum all the time. We need to remove everyone who is not an American citizen off of this soil. They do not need to be here. We do not need to see amnesty again. I know that's something that they're fighting for because they want to keep people here that have no respect for this country. They don't. They need to close our borders administratively for at least 20 years, period. The American people need a break. But that's what's not happening. I think they really want to see this country destroyed. And that's very sad. Very sad. So thank you for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News for this Mighty Men Thursday. And, tomorrow we will be back with Prayer with Friday. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you tomorrow.